From when I was a little girl, I've always wanted to be an animator. That was my dream. And when I grew up, my dream shattered. Well, sort of. This is my story of an artist's dream turning into some sort of reality. It's typical of me to say that I was always drawing. My dad was always working, and my mom took me around to her workplaces as well. From the young age of 3, I was always making images. I remember very vividly that my very first sketchbook was purple, and it had a spiral bound, and it was horizontal landscape format, brought from the local dollar store, courtesy of my mom. And I still have this sketchbook right now. So I was obsessed, obviously, with drawing princesses and princes in castles. You can tell my inspiration was mostly from Disney, and I also really loved The Little Mermaid, and I would draw myself and my friends all as the Little Mermaid, and of course I would have red hair because I was the Little Mermaid, and I only had like one male friend, so I just drew him as a merman, and also my uncle was a merman. And I watched almost all the Disney movies as a kid, and somewhere along the way, I realized, hey, you know what? There is a job out there that I could do, and this job is called an animator. And all you have to do is draw characters from comics daily, every single day, and it will be great. At least that's what I thought an animator's job really was. Of course, as a young kid with no friends and a loner by nature, I really wanted to prove to myself that I can make it in this world, and I am going to be a Disney animator. Well, the biggest art company in the world obviously is going to earn me the most respect from everybody that I know, and art will no longer be just a hobby, and it will actually be a serious career that I will be taking very seriously for, and I could do what I love, and I could be surrounded by people that are amazing artists. It seemed like the dream, really. And above all things, I honestly loved just observing. I loved observing things and drawing things, and the mind-to-hand connection really made like some sort of meditation to express my feelings of this world, and how I see the world somehow could be expressed from a pencil and a paper. Really, it was just my way of expressing myself non-verbally. Although I was not non-verbal, I was just a child that didn't really like to talk. So my first art teacher was really kind, and she had a basement where, you know, Asian kids always go to the artist with the basement teacher, and they really taught me a lot. They taught me all the skills that I needed to know, and I really learned how to be creative, and I also know what is discipline and how do I observe things carefully. So I think there was a caveat to this whole dream of mine, and that caveat was that when I was born, I don't really have the best eye muscle, and there was a muscle in my eye that would make my head see double visions after a certain number of time, especially on the computers. And so that really came with the idea of drawing for 24 or 48 hours in front of a computer. After thinking about it through, I realized that maybe was not the right thing for me. When I was in grade 4, I learned of an art school in town. If you live in BC, you know the art school name. It rhymes with car, starts with Kemily. Anyways, I heard of this college or university in this art school, and I realized, yes, I had to go there. There was no other choice in my life other than going to that specific art school. And then I realized that everything else came secondary to my first official goal of going into that art school. So, as you know, I worked my butt off, building the best portfolio I could, along with support from my amazing mom and dad and my art teachers, of course. I learned so much from them, and I worked late into the night and late at lunch. All the time I was in the art room at high school making my ceramic clay pieces. So I spent hours and hours just drawing on my portfolio, and when I'm finished with a piece, I would draw for hours and hours again in my sketchbook. Of course, there was time in between when I had to study for my quizzes and tests in high school, and I would finish studying, and as an outlet, I would draw more of my characters that I love from anime. And as a creative stress relief, it was also my only confidence boost at that point in time. As a young teen, I was nerdy and artsy. I was also a very practical person, and I would only wear the same running shoes because, of course, they were the only ones that I could run away from for bad guys. I haven't even met any bad guys. I just have some sort of nervous anxiety. And so, as teenage me, I really just drew things, played piano, worked on my part-time job at a fast food restaurant, and then I studied to have the best scores. I had little to no social life and only a few close friends, and I loved every bit of my time making art and drawing art. So to be spending 6 hours and more on just drawing and painting was one of my greatest happinesses in life, and still is. I would switch between styles of painting realism and then drawing some anime manga characters constantly, and I still do that to this day. I can really never pick just one style and go with it. I have to have multiple. Miraculously, I did get into the university I wanted since I was in grade 4. I was over the moon. So the day of acceptance, I even got a first full-time scholarship because my grades and portfolio was so good. And every day going to school, to me, it felt like a new adventure, a new beginning. I made a lot of friends, and then I hung out in the school building sometimes and felt like an actual artist for the first honeymoon phase of 3 months, and then I started to compare myself to others. So suddenly, I wasn't the only artist in the school, I was just one of the artists in the school. Therefore, I'm no longer special, and I felt like an imposter because there were so many other amazing people in that school, and they were so much more talented and more professional and more skilled than I was. And me being in my first year of art university felt like it was not enough for me to just be an artist. I had to be an artist with something else, something nobody else can do, and I couldn't find that, and then I felt really, really depressed. And then, after my second year of uni, that was when COVID hit. Everything moved online, and my art also moved to digital works. I kept telling myself, I just need to learn the skills that everybody wants in the industry, and then I can get that Disney animation job. But then I realized that I was not really suited for digital work. I hated 3D animation and modeling. I really didn't like how computerized it all was, and I also didn't like to draw 2D animation either. I only liked the final result, but getting there took a lot of patience and time and energy, many hours to be able to perfect that 1 second animation, and I really didn't have the patience for it. So I didn't feel like fixing my work and ruining my health just to complete some sort of animation. So then, that's when I decided I would keep my options open. You know, I'm gonna go with my plan B. And plan B, as you all know, some of you may know, is to become an art teacher. And this was always my plan B because going to art school, I thought that if this didn't work out, at least I can be an art teacher. And being able to work harder and harder than I realized, and sacrificing my sleep and time and health for a job in animation, I realized I wasn't willing to do that. Therefore, I decided to take the easier route to become a teacher, and so I studied illustration, hoping that eventually I could be able to lean into my art as a full-time career. But for now, illustration in children's books will be my sole side quest. So I did this in my 4th year thesis. I did a children's book called 虎姑婆, It's about a story of a tiger monster that was misunderstood by others for being a real human-eating monster, when really they don't eat human meat. All they eat are veggies. And I did this book based on a Taiwanese folktale. And I thought it was good, but I didn't really like how I had to cut paper so often. The process of it was not as fun as just painting it with watercolors. And either way, I ended up not really liking the technique, but I liked the final product, and it was a good experiment, although I don't think I'll go back to paper cutting anytime soon. So, I also was constantly trying to make webtoon comics for contests on the side, and I made 5 webtoon series that really never won anything. It was just a good way to practice, and then I realized that I don't prefer having a long epic of a comic because I can't focus my attention span for that long on one single project. Therefore, it's better to do smaller short stories for me, so like anthologies, instead of the full-blown epic. And one of the reasons, why I wanted to make this YouTube channel is actually to promote one of the stories that I'm making on my webtoon series. So now's a good time for a plug-in. If you want to read a good webtoon about bakery and mental health and slice of life characters that are heartwarming and cute, check out my webtoon called Inner Bakery. I'll link it in the show notes below. And thank you all for your support. I never would have thought I would get 87 subs, but it's a lot for me. So eventually, I did get a job as a teacher, although not an art teacher, but I still make art on the side. So in a way, not being an animator is fine, as long as I can get to still be creative and free in my art making journey. I'm also taking plenty of commissions from others, and I also have, not my manga style, but they also are a style that I could get paid in. So in the future, my goal is to make a webtoon that would sell, and people will actually make it into maybe a full-time TV show. But for right now, all I want is to brand myself on YouTube and improve my skills in webtoon making. Storytelling is also something I need to work on, and then video editing as well. So if you have any ideas on how to improve on my videos, feel free to let me know in the comments below, because I'm still trying to figure it all out. And if there's a path that you're going through which is similar to my path, and you want to make art into a greater source of income in the future, to get more famous and make it into an official thing, just follow along and we could do this all together. I'll continue to post bi-weekly videos on my channel, and in hopes that one day, one of these videos will become viral and I can earn some YouTube AdSense. I also hope my manga Inner Bakery will be famous one day, and somebody will pick it up as a TV show, and then it will have those stories told to the rest of the world. And then maybe I'll earn some followers, and some of these stories will get told. That's kind of the dream. So join me on this journey, and let's all try to bake the best that we can make in this world we have right now. Make art from the heart. See you soon.